Gopi Jana Vallabha Jayo Girivaradari Jayo Girivaradari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jayo Radha Madhava Jayo Kunja Bihari Jayo Radha Madhava Jayo Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jayo Radha Madhava, Jayo Radha Madhava. Jayo Panchatattva, Jayo Panchatattva. Nrisimhadev, Jayo Jani Simhadev. Jayo Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Shri Radha Madhava Saki ki jai, Shri Panchatattva ki jai, Shri Nisimhade Bhagavan ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parvyajakacharya Ashota Rashota Shri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parvyajakacharya Ashota Rashota Shri Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Prem Sikhako Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Radha Krishna Gopal Gopinath Shyama Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhana ki jai. Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Mathura Dham ki jai. Navadvip Dham ki jai. Jagannath Puri Dham ki jai. Ganga Mai, Yamuna Mai ki jai. Tulsi Devi, Bhakti Devi ki jai. Sankirtan Yagya ki jai. Brihan Midanga ki jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Gaura Premanande. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru Garanga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto number 1, chapter 7, verse 45. Sa Esha Bhagavan Drona Prajayupena Vartate Tasyatmano Ridam Patni Ashte Nanvaga Virashu Kripi Saisha Bhagavan Androna Saisha Bhagavan Androna Prajarupena Vartate Prajarupena Vartate Tasyatmanoridam Patyaste Tasyamanoridam Patyaste Nanvagat Virashu Kripi Nanvagat Virashu Kripi Saisha Bhagavan Drona Prajarupena Vartate Tasyatmanoridam Patyaste Nanvagad Virashu Kripi Saisha Bhagavan Drona Prajarupena Vartate Tasyamanoridam Patniyaste Nanvagad Virashu Kripi. Prabhus? Nangavad Virashu Kripi. Matajis. Sa He Esha certainly Bhagavan Lord Dronacharya Prajarupena in the form of his son Ashwatthama Vartate is existing Tasya his Atmana of the body Ardam half Patni wife Ashti living Na not Anvagat undertook Virashu having the son present Kripi the sister of Kripacharya. Translation. He, Dronacharya, is certainly still existing, being represented by his son. His wife, Kripi, did not undergo sati with him because she had a son. The purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The wife of Dronacharya, Kripi, is the sister of Kripacharya. A devoted wife, who is according to revealed scriptures the better half of her husband, is justified in embracing voluntary death along with her husband if she is without issue. But in the case of wife of Dronacharya, she did not undergo such a trial because she had her son, the representative of her husband. A widow is a widow only in name if there is a son of her husband existing. So in either case, Ashwatthama was the representative of Dronacharya, and therefore killing Ashwatthama would be like killing Dronacharya. That was the argument of Draupadi against the killing the Ashwatthama. So translation one more time. He, Dronacharya, is certainly still existing, being represented by his son. His wife Kripi did not undergo sati with him because she had a son. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishna Buddha Shimati Jayapataka Swami Nami Namo Charya Padaya Nitai Kripa Pradane Gora Katatamadana Nagarkantarine Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishna Buddha Shimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Nami Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. So yesterday we heard the class of His Holiness Jayapataka Maharaj, and he explained many details regarding the present moment in Srimad Bhagavatam where we are right now. I will just try to put a little bit extra light to it so that we know exactly where we belong in the whole story at the moment, and basically to be able to understand this particular situation where Draupadi is trying to convince Arjuna not to kill Ashwatthama. And the reason why is that we have to go a little bit back in the time, basically 18 days before, when there was the beginning of Kurukshetra battle, and there was two big armies facing each other, and there was also Arjuna, whose chariot was led by the Lord Krishna himself, his close friend, and it was a very hard and tough war to face. Actually, there is explanation that never ever was a bigger war than the war on Kurukshetra. And a huge majority of those who've been on both sides, they passed away that day. They left their bodies. They were killed. There is explanation that only several actually survived from both armies. and one of them was Ashwatam, the other one was Arjuna, those who actually, in our story at the present day. Duryodhana was the leader of army of Kauravas, and he was actually alive for 17 days. He was like a lion on the battlefield. He was very strong. He was very determined to prove that he is right in the whole issue. And he was successfully fighting for 17 days. On the 18th day, even he got extra help from his mother, giving him the extra support, the extra protection around his body. Still, the Bhima, the strong warrior brother of the family, found a way to hurt him, and ultimately Duryodhana basically didn't pass away immediately. He was lying down on the battlefield, and he was approached by Ashwatthama, Kripacharya, and Kritavarma. And Ashwatthama was very close to Duryodhana. He was like his guidance, his spiritual master. He was teaching him a lot of different skills. Although he was the son of Dronacharya, still he was very close to Duryodhana. They were both part of army of Duryodhana in that war. And what is happening that Ashwatthama was on the top where it was the body of Duryodhana. He was thinking and trying to figure out how he can please Duryodhana in this moment. Everybody understood that Duryodhana is leaving the body, that he's leaving the planet. He was too much hurt. There was no chance to recover. And basically, Duryodhana was saying that only way to make him happy is actually to kill the 5 Pandavas. And it was already, sun was coming down. It was at dusk. And there was no time anymore. And it was clear that Pandavas won the war. And it was clear that that time there was very clear rules about how to have a war itself. And one of the rules was when sun comes down, the war stops and continue next morning. And since this was the last day, there was no chance anymore. There was no waiting for the next morning. So what Ashwatthama did actually, he went to the field where the Pandava army was situated, was placed, and it was already dark. He entered one of the tents, and he killed the 5 personalities there. He cut their heads. And there's some explanation that actually he was thinking that he killed the Pandavas, and then later he found out that actually he killed the sons of Draupadi, 5 sons of Draupadi. There are other explanations that actually, he purposely killed the sons of Draupadi just to revenge. But in any case, he brought the parts of the bodies, the heads, to Duryodhana to please him. But Duryodhana was not pleased at all. He was actually very angry that Ashwatthama revenged him on such a way, on such dishonored way. And then Arjuna is the one who promised Draupadi that he will revenge the death of her 5 sons, his relatives. And he's going after Ashwatthama, and finally he found him, and they had a battle between each other. And first Dronacharya was throwing the Brahmastra, right, like big nuclear bomb, by mantra. And then Arjuna did, after advice of Lord Krishna, who was driving still his chariot, he did the same thing. And then finally Ashwatthama surrendered. And Duryodhana first was thinking, should he kill Ashwatthama immediately right on that battlefield or not? And Krishna even advised him to do so, and later we're going to discuss about that. Why actually Arjuna didn't follow the advice of Lord Krishna at that particular moment. So he brought Ashwatthama alive, in front of Draupadi, and he was telling, I promise you that on the time of putting your 5 sons' bodies on fire, that you will stand on the head of that one who killed your 5 sons, that you will stand on the head of Ashwatthama. So I brought him. Please tell me, and I will do what is necessary to fulfill my promise. But Draupadi was not ordinary person. She was not ordinary woman. She understood all religion. She understood the religious principles, but she understood much more than that. She was also very compassionate and very spiritual, and she was always not for the war but for the peace, not for the fight but for dignity, for love. So basically she was trying to find the reasons why not to kill Ashwatthama. And actually there are several reasons why, because first of all, the rule is that you can kill a person who attacks you, who has a weapon, who attacks your home, who wants to burn your house. There are several different reasons what is, according to religion, the right way to kill the person, and without karmic consequences for that. But not if somebody is disarmed. And Ashwatthama was already disarmed in front of Arjuna, and now in this particular moment in front of Draupadi as well. So he was not dangerous anymore, and he was not attacking anymore. And the second, the most important reason that Draupadi mentioned to Arjuna was because the Ashwatthama was the son of Dronacharya, and Dronacharya is very much connected with Pandavas. He is the one actually who trained, who teach Pandavas, especially Arjuna, his military skills. He was teaching him how to use his bow and arrow. He was, whatever Arjuna knew about wars, about fighting, that came from Dronacharya. So basically he was his master. And since Dronacharya also passed away on the battlefield, and there was a ceremony, a few days before, it was already ceremony for burning body of Dronacharya. And Kripi, the wife of Dronacharya, the mother of Ashwatthama, she decided not to enter the fire, not to do sati. The reason of that was because Ashwatthama was alive. You know, one of the main reasons why the wife doesn't have to do sati if she has a son, that son is about to become a king or about to do something important, then the mother stays. She doesn't go into fire. She decides to stay. That means Ashwatthama was the regular representative of Dronacharya and his family. He was the head of the family now. And Draupadi was saying, if you kill the family head of your master, you're committing offense. He's the one who teach you everything. Yes, he killed my 5 sons, but still, we need to follow the principles. And that was very, very solid argumentation from Draupadi. And everybody was listening carefully, and that also make Arjuna and his brothers easy to make decision. There was only one person who was against that still, one person who said you should kill him, actually 2, but one he knew what he's doing from beginning. That was Bhima. Bhima was the one who said we have to kill. And Krishna also, he was saying, look, I didn't change my mind. But actually, later, and I would not now discover, you already know the story, probably most of you, that later they found a way how to kill Ashwatthama at the same time to keep him alive. And that just happened a few moments later, and you're going to hear in a few days. But in any case, the point is that actually Krishna made the perfect arrangement, that actually on the end, Arjuna still followed his order, his recommendation, his instruction, but also he followed Draupadi's request, and he followed the other principles than just religious principles. So it's a very interesting moment. We can learn a lot through this whole situation. And first of all, what we can learn through this story is actually For me, it was fascinating when I started coming to India. We was traveling much more by trains, not by flights, in 90s and 2000s. And I saw many people with Brahman thread, right? You also notice when you're traveling, there are many people who has the Brahman thread, and sometimes even you see them doing different things. But still, the Brahman thread is there. He's from Brahmanic family. And there was always discussion, is it the Brahman qualification, being a Brahmana, is it something that you get by birth, or it's something that you get by qualification, or it's both, or it's none of this? And this particular verse and purport of Srila Prabhupada is one of the main proofs what is the truth in this issue. Why? Because few verses back, if we go back into 1.7.35, so that we stand before 45, Lord Krishna, he called Ashwatthama Brahma Bandham. Brahma Bandham is a relative of Brahmana. And we all know that Dronacharya, yes, he was the warrior, he was the great warrior, but actually he was a Brahmana. And he was educator, he was actually teacher of warriors. He was a teacher. He was teaching the military science to different great personalities of that time. And he was carrying the Brahman thread. So naturally, Ashwatthama was in Brahman family, and he was counted as a Brahman as well. But because his disgrace, his Brahman history of the family, Krishna doesn't call him Brahman or Brahmana, he calls him Brahman Bandhu. And Bandhu means relative. That means that his relative is Brahmana, not himself. And then Srila Prabhupada explains further, and he touched upon in this verse as well, that actually being Brahmana is not something which you get by birth. And Srila Prabhupada further say this is same like if somebody is the judge in the high court and he has a son, doesn't mean that his son is also judge in the high court. He needs to finish the school. He needs to learn everything. Then he's getting the Brahman thread. And Srila Prabhupada further even explained that even those who are not born in Brahman families, if they get qualification to become Brahmanas, they have full right to be called Brahmanas. Even if they're not Brahman Bandhu, that means if somebody in their family is not a Brahmana. And this is one of the main proofs of the truth that actually being Brahmana is qualification, is not something get by birth. So this is one thing that we can learn from this particular situation. Then now we are going back to that particular moment when Krishna is telling Arjuna, I think that you have to kill Ashwatthama. When Krishna took Arjuna, when Arjuna catch Ashwatthama and after the fight, Arjuna won and he disarmed Ashwatthama, and Krishna was saying very strongly, very clearly, it's your duty to kill him now. It's not just that it's your religious duty, but you promise to Draupadi also that you're going to kill him. And Arjuna still after that didn't make decision to kill. He kept Ashwatthama alive, he brought him in front of Draupadi. Whether we have another situation on the battle of Kurukshetra, Krishna and Arjuna standing right in the middle of the field, and Krishna is telling Arjuna, although he is lamenting, and he's not sure that he wants to fight in the war, he was telling him, your duty, your dharma is to go and to fight. And Arjuna follows. So what is the difference between these two situations, and who is right and who is wrong, and on the end everybody is right, and how? We will just touch a little bit that particular point today. So, as explanation of the second situation, it's written that actually Krishna just wanted to test Arjuna and his determination and his right to judge properly. And in the first situation was not just test, it was very clear instruction which he has to follow. He actually wanted to break all his doubts with very clear instructions. And for somebody who is beginner in the process, basically these two situations could be the same. Krishna is giving you order, you have to follow. Krishna is giving you order, you have to follow. But then we find out it's not just like that. We need to recognize, because Krishna was not doing that just with him. Actually, there is explanation that how person is going higher and higher in the level of consciousness, he's getting stronger and stronger and greater tests. And one of the main tests is to recognize whether Krishna is just teasing with you, is just testing your faith and your principles and your knowledge, or he really giving the right instruction. And Arjuna came to that level that he recognized that it's not the right moment. At the same time, he didn't disobey. Later he did something. He cut the part of here, he took off the jewel from the head of Ashvatam, and that means that on the level of power the person is dead, but Ashvatam's body stayed alive much longer than that. So he didn't disobey, but at the same time he did the right thing. Difference between these two situations is very simple. In the first situation, when it was Battle of Kurukshetra, there were army in front of you, army who is ready to fight, army whose weapons are addressed towards you, army who wants to take you home, army who doesn't surrender, army who wants to occupy, army who wants to kill you. And that's the direct threat. And the dharma of every kshatriya is to fight. There was direct threat, and you have to protect your family, and you have to protect your kingdom, you have to protect your relatives, you have to protect yourself. And if you give up from that, it's not dharmic, it's not religious. So in this first situation we had that. In the second situation, we had two warriors who are fighting. And the fight ends. And Ashvatam is standing in despair. He doesn't have anything anymore. He even tried to destroy the whole world, the whole universe, just not to lose this war. And Arjuna stopped him. So he's completely disarmed. He's completely harmless. And in that particular moment, even if Krishna is saying it's your duty to kill him, even if Krishna was saying, look, you promise your wife, you promise Draupadi, you're going to do it. You promise your wife the head. Arjuna found a way to fulfill everything what Krishna told him, at the same time to do the right thing. Because it was disarmed person in front of him, he didn't want to kill him. He brought his head, but with the head he brought the whole body. So he brought him alive in front of his wife. And at the same time, later in the scene, he killed all his pride, all his power, all his, what creates Ashvatthama as a person, he destroyed. He just left his body and the soul together. And Krishna was pleased. It was a test. Krishna was very pleased with that. So in every situation, there is not just black and white. We need to think a little bit, okay, so what is behind? Let's go deeper. Let's try to think about what is happening right at the moment. Let's see what Krishna really wants from me. Then we have to check the religious principle. We need to know what books are saying about it, what Shastras are saying about some our particular situations. Not just to copy-paste something which happened maybe in the past. Time, place, circumstances. It's very deep, much deeper. Srila Prabhupada said that 67, so no. We need to figure out exactly when Srila Prabhupada said what and how, and to see whether that's really applying to our situation in the moment, 50 years later. So, now the beautiful thing about Arjuna is that he had a very personal relationship with the Lord. And I just wanted to touch briefly about how we can develop relationship with Krishna. We call ourselves devotees, Vaishnavas. Vaishnava means the servant of Vishnu, somebody who is very close to Vishnu. Devotee is somebody who is devoting his life to the Lord. And there are different ways to devote life to the Lord. most religions of this on this planet present at the moment, they have a very kind of strict respect towards the Lord. They don't even think much about the Lord. Mostly they focus on Lord's representatives of their words of wisdom. They sometimes imagine Lord in different faces. Sometimes it's even forbidden to imagine how the Lord looks. Sometimes it's even forbidden to talk about the Lord because it's offense. And they try to follow the path of spirituality. But it's very clear, we will not go deeply into psychology of their religions. Let's try to focus on ours. You know, here is highly recommended that we develop relationship with the Lord. That we develop relationship with the Krishna. And there is one trick. We should not develop it on some, how we call it, a drama way. You know, to try to go into some rasa without nature understanding that this is where we belong. We should not just play the role, we should feel it. We should follow the path. If we start playing certain role, like we see sometimes on the holy places, we see some personalities that we don't know whether they're really developed, they develop prema, and they're really into some special rasa, or they're just trying to develop that through the process of copy-paste, or trying to copy some little certain rasa. We should wait the right moment to happen. And there are certain levels of bhava. Actually, the bhava is the one which is helping us to develop relationship with the Lord. There are levels which we have to go through to be able to feel and recognize where we belong. So we will discuss about those levels of bhavas. There are 4 different ways how we can develop relationship with the Lord. 4 different stages also, because the amount of love is not same which we share with the Lord in 4 different stages. And Arjuna was on one of those 4 levels and not the highest one even. So the first is a Shant Bhava. A Shanti Bhava or Shant Bhava is the level where we see the Lord as a supreme governor, as somebody who is controlling the universe, supreme personality of the Godhead. And the second level is Dasya Bhav. Dasya Bhav is next level, is the higher level, where we see the Lord, the God, as a master. So basically, Shant Bhava is something that is not recommended for devotees. We should not just respect the Lord, not think about no. We have to think about the Lord. We have to read about His pastimes. We have to talk about Him. We have to allow Him to approach us. Actually, He's already here. We have to allow ourselves to approach Him, to be able to recognize our relationship with the Krishna. So the first level for devotees, the lowest level, is actually Dasya Bhav. Dasya Bhav is the level of the servant of the Lord. And this is what is recommended for devotees. And sometimes devotees in very short time going on the higher level, sometimes they stay on this level for a long time. I'm not talking just about days, months, years. I'm talking about lives. And it's very good. It's very safe zone to be servant of the Lord. Even better, servant of the servants of the Lord. This is actually what is our Dharma, it's Vaishnavas. Dasa Anudasa. Servants of the Lord. And then gradually, after many years, many lives, many austerities and performing the different kind of yogas, finally Bhakti Yoga, we will be able to enter into some other bhavas which are higher and which are our nature belonging in the spiritual world. But that's not something it's happening overnight. It's not something plastic. It's something that we have to remove all this darkness which surrounds our soul at the moment. All these anarthas, all these different obstacles which stop us to see the Krishna. And we start seeing His face, then we will understand who we are, where we belong, and which kind of relationship we have with the Lord. So the next level after Dasya is Shakya Bhava, or Sakya Bhava. That level is when you love, and that level is actually where Arjuna was, by the way, belonging. When you love Krishna as a close friend, a very close friend. And one of the best examples for Sakya Bhava is if the cowboys, the friends of the Krishna who went with him every single day for the pasture with the cows, if you tell them, they didn't want to hear that Krishna, their dear blue boy, is Supreme Personality of Godhead and he is controlling all universes, everything emanates of him. They didn't want to hear that. For them, Krishna is their friend. Krishna is their loving friend, and he's not there. Everything is there. Nothing exists. Their lives doesn't have a meaning. When he's not around, they're like a dead bodies walking. They love him as a person, and Krishna loves that. Krishna loves when we have a relationship with him like a with person, not with some imaginary old man with long beard lying down on the sky. No, it's a person who can approach us, whom we can approach, that we can have a relationship with. The next even higher level of that is Vatsaya Bhava. This is the level where, and again, anybody can come to that level, but it's very high, and actually it's very rare somebody to come to that level. This is when we become a parent of the Lord, parent of Krishna, in some nation expansion, right? Like a Yashoda. Yashoda was on that level. This is even higher than being the friend of the Lord. When you exchange the loving relationship with the Krishna. You know, Mother Yashoda, she tied the Lord when he was young because he was eating earth. Oh, he loved eating earth. It was famous game, eating earth of Vrindavan. And then Mother catch him, he tied him, he took the tiny stick, and then the Lord was saying, "Oh, Mother, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I'm not going to eat earth anymore. I will stop, I promise, I'll stop, just don't beat me, please." Krishna loves that exchange, and Mother Yashoda, she doesn't want anything else but that. Not to beat Krishna, but to have a loving motherly relationship with him. To embrace her son, to feed her son, to see him to be secure and safe. Those who knows that Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead, when demons attacks, what they say? Oh, it's fine. Krishna is the Lord. We know he's gonna win. We already read many books. No problem. Mother Yashoda is not like that. Even if Krishna win millions of times, still she will worry. She will think, oh, what will happen today? Oh, this demon is so big and my son is so small and he's so innocent and he's so, I need to protect him. That's a mother. That's a father. And when we come to that level, this is what Krishna loves. Not us, but those fortunate souls. But there is one level even higher than this level. And you all know which level is that. And I will not talk about that level so much because I don't feel qualified to talk about that. I'll just mention that this is what we call a Madhurya Bhav. And that's the level where, like there is explanation Srila Prabhupada giving this purport that the wife is another half of the person, which we call like marriage, husband and wife. If the marriage is right, then they have to function as one. And in this case, in Madhurya Bhav, all those gopis, all those who are closest to the Lord, they don't feel different than the Lord. They feel like one with the Lord. And this is even higher than being a parent of the Lord. They want to be with him all the time in the pure nectar of loving exchange. They cannot stop tears. They cannot stop to laugh, to cry. They cannot stop to think about him for a second. And this is something which we should not try to imitate, because it's the highest of bhavas. And if we try to imitate, we're just going to spoil it. And if we less try to imitate, it's going to save zone for us. That's why we should be on the level of the servant and allow different bhavas naturally to come to us when the time comes. For Arjuna, the time was when it was the battle of Kurukshetra. Until that time, he had a great relationship with Krishna. But when Krishna, in the middle of battlefield, revealed to him, when he started sharing the greatest of the greatest knowledge with him, then he really saw the power of their relationship. He completely surrendered to the Lord that moment. And Krishna became for him not just a friend, not just the chariot driver, but his spiritual master as well. And that was very tight bond between them. So I prepare some songs from the gopis, but I don't think we have much of time. It's already 8:52. So I will go straight to another topic of today. And you probably saw when we was down on the darshan side that there is one person there who is Panchatattva with a beautiful yellow flower decoration over his head, his aura, and his chapal, his shoes are not straight today, right? They're an angle, and all flowers are decorated around his lotus petal, and flowers are on his shoes. And those shoes actually should be something that we should meditate today a lot on. And today's his appearance day, and that's a Shivas Pandit. Shivas Pandit Ki Jai. So Shivas Pandit was a great relative of Lord Gauranga, and he's very much connected with Mayapur. His house was here, his family was here, his life was here, and it's the right place to glorify Shivas Pandit a little bit today. So Shivas Pandit was born much before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. There is explanation that Chaitanya was treating Shivas Pandit and his wife Malini as a father and mother. They were in that bhava, in that level, and they were basically, they were having exchange of Vatsalaya bhava with Lord Gauranga, with small Nimai. Before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came, actually Shivas Pandit was with his three brothers, Sri Ram, Sri Nidhi, and Sripati. There was 4 brothers in total, he was not alone, and there was a big family, and they were living all together, in the close proximity to each other. And but Shivas Pandit was the one who was, from beginning of his life, he was very determined to be a servant of the Lord. Although he has opulence, they were quite rich for their time. They had a lot of space, they had a very nice, decent house, they had a big courtyard, they had a lot of land. Still, he was completely detached from all his belongings. And sometimes even Malini Mataji, she had a little bit problem with her husband, because she wanted just to think about the Lord. Even later in the life happened that one time Chaitanya Mahaprabhu approached him and told him, Shivas, please go and do something. You should plant something, you should sell something, just do something for your family. And she was saying, my dear Lord, I'm gonna sit here, I'm gonna chant the holy name, and if nothing happened until tomorrow, I will say, okay, it's Krishna's mercy, I depend on the Lord, and then I will continue chanting. And next day, if nothing happened, I will say, okay, maybe next day something will happen, and next day if nothing happened, then I will just jump in the Ganges. But I don't want to do anything else in my life except chanting the holy name and thinking about the Lord. Nothing. And again, be careful. This is not something we have to repeat in our life. Why? Because who was Shivas Thakur actually? Narada Muni. Shivas Thakur was actually, Narada Muni had a great desire to be born and to take a part of Chaitanya Lila. And he got the body of Shivas Thakur. He was born as Shivas Thakur. He was very close to Advaita Acharya. He's much older than Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He's a member of his family. And many times he was discussing with Advaita Acharya in Shantipur, and here Advaita was coming, how, Navadip town, what was the name of this town 500 years ago? Navadip town is full of pandus and different scholars and different smarta brahmanas, but they hardly understanding the devotional exchange with the Lord. They hardly understand, the right connection that devotees has with the Lord, which is unconditional devotional service. And they were praying, not just, Advaita Acharya didn't come just one time in front of Gaji saying, "Oh, please, dear Lord, please come," and he come next day. No, it was going on for years. Their prayers, their meditation, their discussions, and finally, after many years of deep meditation and deep connection with the Lord came himself, and he was born in the family. And they're saying that actually, Vrindavan, they had many different kind of bhavas with the Lord. All these bhavas that we mentioned, they were present in Vrindavan. Exchanges with gopis, with the parents, with the family members, with the cowboys who were going with the Lord every single day. But in Mayapur, in Navadvip town at that time, when Nimai was born, he was so sweet and special baby, and he was waiting for so long time that they're saying that the whole city was in Vatsalya Bhava. The whole city was parents to the Lord. And Shivas Thakur was not exception. And Malini was not exception. Malini, Shivas Thakur's wife, she was a personal nurse. She was the one who was taking care about Nimai when he was young, when he was a baby. She's the one who was dressing him. She was the one who was walking with him around. They literally treat him as a parent. Now, when there is one very interesting aspect of Shivas Thakur that maybe some of you doesn't know, but it's very interesting to mention, especially here in Mayapur, that he is one of the first who spoke about the real education, believe it or not. He is the one who mentioned first on which base education should develop and how education should look for Vaishnavas. One time, the Chaitanya, Nimai, he was very young, he was like 13, 14 years old, and here he went to schools. And school for Nimai was very easy. Wherever he goes, he remembers when he read first time, even he doesn't have to read, he already knows everything. So he was studying different sciences, right? He was studying astrology, astronomy, math, different kind of science. And in one moment, to Shivas Thakur, it occurred that his small nephew is a little bit puffed up. He's a special, he knows everything. Nobody can beat him in dialogue, in exchange. And then Shivas Thakur one time approached Nimai, and he was saying, "Look, I would like to talk to you." And he was telling something amazing. And I want to read. I don't want to do any interpretation, to miss any particular word, what he said. He was telling, why do people study? Why people are studying? So that they may understand what is devotion to Shri Krishna. If by scholarship one doesn't gain devotion of Shri Krishna, then how will that learning help him? It becomes simply a tedious endeavor, which in the end is nothing but a waste of time. If you have actually learned something, then begin your worship of Shri Krishna now. Make and haste. This is the purpose of your life. And Chaitanya was very pleased, Nimai. He was actually expecting this exchange with his uncle. He was waiting that time to happen. There is explanation that it was just looking that Chaitanya is behaving puffed up. He was not really puffed up. He was just having a nice exchange, nice lila with somebody who was one of the closest to him. After that exchange, that discussion with Shivas Thakur, Nimai started changing direction of his education. He started attending more spiritual topics. He started developing the taste for more spiritual knowledge. When he was 16, he opened a school, his school, which was based on spiritual ethics. And that was a big contribution to that has actually Shivas Thakur and his pure devotion, determination just to worship the Lord. He was saying clearly, there is no point of any kind of education if it's not connected with serving the Lord. He didn't say, please don't be a doctor, please don't be this or that. He didn't say that. We all need, all that we need, but the focus should be we need it for Krishna. And how are we going to use that knowledge for the Lord? Okay, let's help devotees, let's treat servants of the servants. That's service for the Krishna. So we need different profiles, but it has to be connected with our devotional service. Now, the last I want to mention today is that famous Leela when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we all know about kirtans in Shiva's Sangan, we all know about the great energy which was happening every night there. During the day, the Chaitanya usually was taking Harinam to Navadvip, and Shiva's Thakur was performing, he was bringing different scholars, there was discussion and class during the day in his house. But night time, for something else. Chaitanya was coming just with the closest associates, and that closest sometimes was millions, and they were performing amazing kirtans, and they were having amazing time together, and they were uplifting consciousness higher and higher and higher. Even it was much higher than our today's kirtan melas. You can imagine that. Much higher. So the point is that they had such a special time over there that they started having problems with the local people. They were disturbed, right? Bamapukur and closer, there were a lot of Muslims were staying there, and they were saying kirtan is too loud, there's too much power, we cannot sleep during night time. And in that time the ruler was actually a person who is Muslim, right? So they were complaining to Chankazi, and Chankazi one time he complained to Nawab. Nawab is the person who is the higher level of authority, not just this district, but actually the whole area. We recently visited the Hazardwari Palace. There was living a Nawab who was in charge for Bengal, Orissa, and Bihar. All three states, there was one Nawab in the huge palace he was staying. So he was even complaining to Nawab about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and then finally you all know that they broke Mridanga, and the Chaitanya took around 100,000 devotees marching towards Chankazi's house, and finally they started this amazing relationship they have. But another moment occurred with Shiva's Thakur, one very intimate exchange they had when Chaitanya had one of his unforgettable kirtans. Everybody was jumping and crying, and in that moment, in one particular moment in the middle of night, the Shiva's Thakur heard different kind of crying coming from another room, and that was the cry from his wife Malini, and then she started hearing the cry of some other women also, and he went there and he found out that his son passed away, and Malini was losing herself. Another ladies also, they start, trying to bring boy back, and it was obvious that he left the planet. And Shiva's Thakur was so much advanced that he told his wife, please don't cry so loud, don't disturb the Lord, the great kirtan is going on. We are witness of kirtan of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in our house, not anybody else, it's Chaitanya himself, and kirtan is just building up. Please, if you cry, cry silently. I'm very happy for my boy, he left on the right way. He didn't told about that until early morning to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu find out that the boy left his body, he immediately went up, he was asking Shiva, why you didn't tell me? Shiva was saying, my dear Lord, I didn't want to disturb, kirtan was amazing tonight. As a matter of fact, after he left the room with his boy's body, it's lying there, he continued jumping and dancing with the Lord, whole night. And then Chaitanya understood how much pain Malini and other relatives has in her heart. He also understood that Shiva understands everything. So this Leela actually is not going to be for the Shiva, it's going to be in the name of love with Shivas, but for his relatives. He brought boy back. And what was the first thing that boy said? Why you brought me back? It was such amazing way how I left my body. It was in the middle of great kirtan. I started attending some very high levels. It's just amazing. I don't want to go back. I want to continue my journey. And then
the whole family of Shiva Thakur was specified. And she was just given one short look to his wife like, I told you. So that was one of the amazing characteristics of Shiva Thakur, generally of Narada Muni, wherever he travels, is that he always understands everything. He is not somebody who even directly participates. He is a witness. He is the one who is bringing informations which will elevate the atmosphere, which will elevate the devotees around. He's trying to correct the things. He is the one who brings always that great, amazing spirit. And today is the best day if we want to achieve that stability in our spiritual lives. If we want to get closer to the love towards the Lord, is the right day to pray to Lord Narada Muni. It's the right day to pray to Shiva Thakur, to Shiva's Pandey. And it's the right way to go back to the altar and to go to next to this chapal, next to these shoes, and to just think again and again how they're ending up on our forehead, and to ask for mercy, to ask Lord to give us blessing and at least to feel the glimpse of love that Shiva Thakur felt about him. Shiva Thakur ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Gaur Pramanande Hari Bol. Thank you very much. If you have any question, any comment, maybe one, because it's 9:10 already, don't mind. Yes, Prabhu.
Thank you so much for the class.
Thank you very much.
I'm going to speak so much English, but I can understand.
Please.
I want to ask you about this. I mean, like, I have two questions, but I need to choose because now this flavor of Srimad Thakur is amazing, but you know, this part of Srimad Bhagavatam, you go deep today in the philosophical way. Why Arjuna don't follow the instruction of Krishna in the philosophical way? But still, I feel like I wanna maybe try to extract more nectar about this. And my question is about what's happening in the mind of Arjuna in this moment. What's happened? Why he say no? I understand all the context and I understand philosophically. Like you need, when you grow, you can choose what you follow, what you know. Depends of the place, the circumstance.
Yes.
Okay. But my question is, what's happening with the mind of Arjuna? Why? Because he promised Draupadi. And
yes.
Still, Krishna in this same moment, he said, why you will take all the body? Take all the head, only the head.
Yes.
And go and bring for Draupadi. Why you don't take? And still he don't make. Why?
Yes.
He broke his promise, and at the same time he don't follow the I know the context philosophical, but maybe if we can extract something from the mind of Arjuna.
Yes. As you know, even from Bhagavad Gita, when first time Krishna told Arjuna to follow something, he still didn't want to follow. He had many questions. There is one full chapter dedicated about questions of Arjuna, right? Well, Krishna, you know, this, that, I'm not sure about this. You know, he wanted many answers. In this particular situation, he didn't say no to Krishna. He wanted to please Krishna, definitely. But he wanted to do, and he learned actually through what Krishna told him just 18 days before, Bhagavad Gita, on the beginning of the battle of Kurukshetra, he learned that he has to make decisions according to religious principles. And if you want to make the right decision, you need to take them all in account, not just few. And one of the principles was also, he saw the harmless man standing next to him at the moment, and he saw in his eyes his master Dronacharya, and he felt sentiment, but it was not just sentiment. He also felt what Draupadi later told him. There is somebody who even doesn't fight with you anymore. Is it honor to kill him? He understood what Krishna was telling him, but there was also another, we call it, when we have meetings, we call it pros and cons, right? Yes and no, for and against. And then what he did, he didn't say no, he was just saying, okay, let's take him there, then we will decide. He was still ready to kill him. He was still not sure. Until Draupadi didn't know what he has to say. He was still ready to fulfill that. He was just postponing that for a little bit, for a while. Even Chaitanya, Krishna in front of everybody, he still told, I'm still in favor, we should kill him. Because he knows that they cannot kill. They can just help him to achieve some better benefits. But the point is, in this particular moment, in that particular situation, that was not the right thing to do. And on the end, you will see in a few days, actually he's killing him. He's killing his pride. He's taking off jewel of his head. He's cutting his full hair. You know, Ashwatthama had a beautiful long hair. He was very strong, very powerful. He cut all his hair. And you know, those who had before long hair, you know, they became devotees. They just, you know what does it mean to people who has a long hair. You take everything from him. In that Vedic time, you know, the Kshatriya, without hair means dishonoring him. That means you take away everything who he is and what he is. Taking jewel from the head means he's not anymore that person. And that means that he killed the person in the role of Ashwatthama. You know, a few years ago, you know, I was, it's a funny story to tell about on Srimad Bhagavatam class, but I'll tell anyway because we're in India. There is a famous actor, right? Shah Rukh Khan. You heard about him. And they were conducting interview with him. They was asking questions. So your life is amazing, you're very famous, you're in many movies and everything. So what is the hardest part of your life? From outside your life looks perfect. You're like a demigod, it's amazing. What is the hardest part? And he was saying, to be honest with you, the hardest part is to play Shah Rukh Khan. He admit, I'm not Shah Rukh Khan. I'm playing the role of Shah Rukh Khan in this particular life. And it's not always easy thing to do. A lot of popularity, a lot of, you know, energies, everybody's thinking about you, everybody's envious on you. It's not easy. And the best time for him just to stay with family and to be humble and nice. So he's telling the toughest part is to play that role. So Ashwatthama was also playing, he developed a certain character, the certain role, which Arjuna in one moment killed. Nobody else but Arjuna. He was the one who was supposed to do it because he promised to Draupadi. On the end of that, Draupadi was pleased, but there is another person who was even more important and he was very pleased. It was Krishna. On the end, he told him, I'm very pleased, very happy with what you did. So basically, he didn't dishonor Krishna. He followed, but he found a way to do this on the smartest possible way. So that's art. That's art, coming with maturity, coming with the knowledge, coming with the time. As I said, if we start less playing to be who we are not, we are more who we are, and we open more door for learning and growing faster. That's the whole secret of how some people, they become mature very early age, and some, they're 60 years old, they're still playing teenagers. You know, there is a big difference in that. Thank you very much for coming today. I wish you all the best and a lot of mercy from Shiva's Pandit. Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.